Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what does Tim Ferriss say? Boys and germs? I forget what he says in his intros. In any case, welcome back to another edition, a special edition, I may say, of the Body Beauty Show. I'm joined by two heroes. Is that the right term? I think so. Legends in their own right. They were featured on People magazine from the years 1990 through 2022. Tracy Anderson and Jody. Now, bear with me. My pronunciation here might be placing the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Verkamp.
Verkamp.
Oh, so close. Okay.
So
well, thanks
close.
for joining. How about the both of you?
You're welcome.
Well, so this is a different format than usual. We have two guests, and that means three people talking potentially at the same time. So wish me well. Off we go. Let's start here. Jody, how did you meet Tracy? How did you fall into this world of cryo and all things beauty? What's the backstory? Jody, actually, hold on. I lied. Tracy, you started the business. Jody came on downstream. So let's start with Tracy, how you stumbled into this world of beauty, and then we'll get into Jody's story and how that weaves in.
So I had said for the last 20 years, I was going to save all my money. So when I got old, I can get facelifts, tummy tucks, and liposuction. I was always interested in anything aesthetic wise that would fight that aging process. And I saw an ad on Facebook for cryoskin treatments, investigated to see about having the treatment done for myself. After the investigation, decided I just wanted the machine. And Artemis was helping small businesses get started and got the first machine. Jody came, got a treatment, and I'll let her take it from there.
Whoa. Okay. Amazing. Let's dive into that a little bit further, though, because there's so much more meat on that bone, Tracy. Nice try, skirting past all the big rocks of that story and the big nuggets of struggle and all the agony before you bought the first LOC and got the ground broken for the first location. Okay, let's back up. So you said for 20 years, and Jody, we'll get to you. You said for 20 years, you were saving to start this business because you wanted to be ready for facelifts and more invasive type procedures. Was there a defining moment when you decided, okay, that's it, I'm starting this business? If so, what was that story?
No, I didn't. I wasn't saving money to start a business. I was saving money so I could have something done to fight the aging process. Then saw the ad for cryoskin treatments, then looked into what Artemis was doing, and then got our first machine on the rev share program. And that was in April, and in 6 weeks expanded to Jody's hometown and location after she came to get some treatments done herself.
So this is back in 2019. What are you doing the week prior? What was your work? What was your line of work? What were you doing?
I was a school counselor for 15 years before that.
So you're the classic story. Well, there's nothing classic about your extraordinary in many ways. Classic and extraordinary, I guess they're synonymous in some sense. Classical literature. In any case, you are a testament to what can happen when someone who's, let's say, in some sort of corporate set of, well, I don't want to say shackles, but someone who's in a job or vocation they're not in love with, finding a path to entrepreneurship, starting something from the ground up, which is scary. There's a lot of risk. You could fail. It could be a complete disaster. And despite all the odds being, you could say, stacked against you, pressed on and said, you know what? No, I'm going to start my own thing. That was scary. You did it. And here we are 3 years later, now operating multiple locations with a whole bunch of different services and now having a partner and presumably employees, staff, and all the other joys of operating multiple or a multi-location beauty business. What did you feel before you decided to start? Was there immense anxiety? Am I speaking superfluously, or was that your story?
No, I had always had some kind of side business as I was doing other things. So I'm one of those people that like to have my plate really full so I can function better.
That seems like a sentence that is
So
actually the exact opposite of what you would expect someone to say. I like to have my life overflowing to where I have no life, busy from 9 to 9,
yes,
between the hours of
yes.
go on.
That's how I function best. And I know that the more I have to do, the more I get done. But I've always had a side business prior to that. I had a photography studio. Prior to that, I worked for a National Geographic photographer for a while on the side. Um, did a few other things, had a few other businesses, raised some German Shepherd puppies. So I've always been that person that has something else going on. This just kind of fell in my lap, and it was very interesting to me because I was starting to see those signs of aging, especially on my face and the midsection, all those things that come with women aging. And I didn't like it. And it was very traumatizing, I would say. And got my first cryoskin facial and fell in love with it and decided I wanted that machine. And whatever I had to do to get it, that's what I was going to do. My first goal was just to have the machine among a small group of friends and women so we could do the treatments on ourselves and have the treatments. That was my goal to begin with. That obviously turned into a business.
Wow. Was there someone that told you you can't pull this off before you launched business?
I had lots of doubters in my life at that point, but I didn't have anything to lose because Artemis had the trial period. So what did I have to lose except to try something for 6 weeks and it not work?
Wow. Interesting. Okay, so that's back in 2019. You started the business with Cryoskin. That's the first and only service that you're offering at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had some success. What did that initial success look like with Cryoskin in the first couple months?
The first 6 weeks, over $40,000 was brought in a town of 4,500 people. Was the first location.
Hold on, Houston, I think we broke the internet. You just said in the first 6 weeks, you made $40,000 in a town of 4,500 people. I think there's more people in my lobby of my apartment building. And you did 40,000 in that span of time.
Yes. Now we were pulling from other towns local within 30 to 40 minutes, which is where Jody came from, a larger town with more people. And we did not at that time do anything except for share this on Facebook with friends and family. And that is how we got our business. And then as it expanded, and we were pulling probably about 40% from the Jasper area, which is where our main location is now. And that's when Jody got involved and we expanded to Jasper and eventually just moved our main location to Jasper, which is a larger pool of people.
Wow. Well, I heard $40,000 in the first 6 weeks, which is insane. So bravo to you. How did you do that? And then I want to hear how Jody, here's a setup, how Jody got involved. Because for those of you that do not know Jody, she is a super weapon, a superhuman, a force of nature, I think is the term. Yeah.
All the
okay.
above.
Yeah.
All the above. Option D. Wow. You're the kid in school that on all the multiple choice exams just D, all the above. Hey,
Oh,
statistically, that worked
yes.
for me. Okay. So back to you, Tracy. And then Jody, we're going to hear from you because you've got a lot to
Okay.
say and we can't wait to hear. Okay. So Tracy, back to you. So you were saying 40,000 in the first 6 weeks. How did you do that?
Just word of mouth. We live in a very small community and people were very excited about it. There was nothing like that here. I mean, if you would see where I actually live and how rural of an area it is, there was just nothing like that. The closest place you could go to get something done past, well, there wasn't even an esthetician in the 2 surrounding towns. So people were excited about it, something new, and it just happened. I really don't, I can't say that that something was done and that's what made it happen. It just happened. Because
Wow.
we didn't hire a marketing agency. We didn't hire anybody to do any marketing for us. It was just on Facebook.
Extraordinary. Unreal. Unbelievable, some would say. In a town of 4,500 people, 40,000 the first 6 weeks of Cryoskin. It's incredible. Incredible. All right. So how did Jody get intertwined? Were you guys besties in grade school? What's the backstory? Give us the dirt.
No, one of her friends, acquaintances had seen someone had posted about it on their Facebook and she had came and gotten treatments and then she talked Jody into coming. And that was within those first 6 weeks because by June 3rd, we were open in Jasper.
So within the first 6 weeks in the madness of the opening, you convinced Jody to join the battleship. And I think at the time she was running Google or Facebook, was it, Jody? You were CEO of one of the Fortune 5s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And Tracy's sales ladyship is so compelling, you decided to jump on the bandwagon, and here we are today. What were the first 6 weeks like when you started with Tracy, Jody?
Well, first of all, I got my friend. She knows how I am, so I ask everybody questions. I'm very I just didn't believe in the machine. Like, I'm very skeptical. So she brought me along just because she knows that I'll ask 100 questions. So anyway, I went along and she had the treatment done. And of course I was asking those questions, and they asked if I wanted a free treatment. She goes, "You don't believe this is going to work?" And I'm like, no, it's not going to work. And she took off 3/4 of an inch. I, of course, said, "Oh yeah, you pulled it too tight. You measured it a different spot." Didn't believe it until probably about 2 weeks later when I was putting on a pair of my extremely tight jeans, and they weren't as tight. So then I was thinking, oh, did I not wash them? Did I not wire? And then it got like, okay, maybe there's something to this Cryoskin stuff. So then I went back and purchased a package. And that's all she wrote. They were wanting to expand, and I just I didn't know Tracy. I had no clue who she was. She was just helping get rid of those inches off my waist that was displaced from my last pregnancy. So I hopped on a business that I didn't know where it was going, but I just felt compelled to hop on it. So
I think it was General Colin Powell that when asked a question, something along the lines of, how do you make a decision? Do you need all the information? He said, no, I only need 30% of all the available information to make a decision. AKA, what is he saying there, in my estimation, is that he trusts his gut. And that's what you did. No pun intended. Actually, I guess there's a pun there, because you could say you literally did trust your gut because your gut showed you the inch loss. And that was what led to joining Tracy, but the intuition is key. And I think a lot of people, they have an over reliance on data in some situations. I mean, maybe you guys, gals, I was rather gals and guys, would disagree that actually there is something to be said about trusting your intuition and trusting your gut. Agree, disagree?
I agree. I agree.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So now it's 2019. It's the first 6 weeks. You both have pulled in what? It's week 7. You've done over $40,000 in revenue in the first 6 weeks with Cryoskin, which again is insane. And not everybody does that, to be clear to the listeners. It's not everyone that does that. It's people that are either insanely talented or great with execution, or they can operate really well, or they have, any number of different factors that lead to that. That's not the case that with every single person they have that sort of outcome, to be candid, but that's incredible that you did. So the question for you then is, after those first 6 weeks transpired, what was the next biggest problem that you faced as you were trotting down the tracks, building this business, which, by the way, we haven't mentioned your business name yet. tell the listeners what you run so they have some context. We completely missed that 16 minutes into the show today. So tell us that and then answer the other question.
The name of the business on Facebook and Instagram is Cryo Body Creation. There is a Jasper location and an Owensboro location.
Beautiful. Okay, got it. So after this first 6 weeks, what's the first major hurdle that you hit?
I don't think that we looked at any of it as a hurdle. I very quickly felt like we could expand. Like, this was easy enough to do these first 2 locations. So where can we go next? Jody had some contacts in Bloomington, Indiana, which is a college town. And we felt like that would be a good place to go. I guess the hurdle was Bloomington, because we were able to get for very low rent into a mall in a college town, and thought that would be a good place. That would be lots of foot traffic, good exposure, Victoria's Secret across the hallway. Can't get any better than that.
Wow.
That location did not prove to be anything that we thought it would be. There was a lot of foot traffic, but we weren't getting any bites. I shouldn't say any. We weren't getting what we thought we would. We quickly got out of that lease and moved locations, and figured out for Bloomington that in order for Bloomington to work, because of the type of town and probably the size of town, we had to approach getting leads a little bit differently. So we started using some influencers in the town. And as long as we had one influencer on their Facebook, their Instagram talking about us, we had new leads and we had new business. The minute for that town that we stopped that, everything slowed down. We did end up finally in a decent location that had a massage therapist, a chiropractor, a nurse practitioner, an esthetician. So that also helped us get some more foot traffic of the right caliber. And then Jody's connections with some of the people in Bloomington that she brought in helped that location take off. And then guess what happened? COVID, March 18th, shut us down.
Jody.
Prior to that happening, we also opened Owensboro location, and we'll talk about that one next after Jody has a minute to talk about Bloomington and how that went.
Wow. Okay, so wow. Let's see. So influencers, Jody. Any other remarks on the influencer piece? Because it seems like really the big the first major hurdle or obstacle or challenge, we can reframe this as an opportunity, let's say, that you encountered was the, what do we do when the influencers stop promoting our services? Was that the first opportunity or challenge in your eyes? Jody, talk me through how you approach that.
Well, my thing, I mean, yeah, I think we were fairly busy. The problem is that I felt like a lot of the times that there wasn't enough of me and Tracy to go around. That was kind of part of our struggles as well, is that, we couldn't keep up sometimes when we were really busy with the demand. It was me and Tracy. We were very selective on who we would just, hire in to do the services as well. So I felt like that was a little bit of the struggle as well, because Bloomington from my town in Jasper is like an hour and 20 minutes away. So traveling up there, doing these services was also a little bit of a kind of a problem, I guess. I don't even know if you want to call it problem, but that was also part of it. But as Tracy already said, COVID hit and it got really ugly. And so then people were, walking around with masks on and everything else. So they're just concerned about being in close proximity of people. And of course, when you're doing facials, you're touching and
Houston, we have a problem. We have lost Jody, and she's back.
She's back.
She's back. We lost the last 10 seconds, 12 seconds there.
I don't even know what I said. I was just kept talking.
So COVID hit and it was a challenge. It was a big challenge. There was challenges with distancing and appeasing people's needs for sterilization measures and what have you. When COVID lockdowns hit, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, you were also talking about influencers. Yeah, and Tracy was correct on that too. I mean, it just seems like if we didn't have, the influencers posting on their pages and stuff, we would get some hits, we would get people to come in. But then that kind of died down and then we'd have to find someone else. But I was going to say something about that. But I don't remember what I was going to say.
I will say that using an influencer has been different at each location. Jasper, that hasn't worked so well because the people in that area don't share a lot of their personal business online. Bloomington was a college town, a little bit different type of town, and the influencers worked very well for us. We've also tried influencers at our Owensboro location, which we haven't talked about yet, and it doesn't work so well there either. So my statement here, or my message here, is not every marketing strategy works the same in every town. And that's been very evident across our locations, that we have to figure out what works in that location.
So it'd be a mistake to say that you should always or always not, meaning a binary type statement, use or not use influencers. There are obviously factors that dictate whether you ought or ought not. So what are some of those variables that you look at when determining if you should? And this, let's focus in on influencers first, but then if there are other categories within marketing that you have experienced where you realize, oh, there's actually some nuance here. It's not always the case that you should do X. There's nuance here, but let's start with the influencer question first. So what are some of the things that you think are important as you think about if you should or should not utilize an influencer?
I think you have to try it. I don't think that there's any marketing strategy that I would say don't try it. I think you have to try them and see what fits. And some locations, maybe there's two marketing strategies that fit, and maybe there's one that works really well and you just go with it. I know for us, it's definitely been trial and error. I'm going to throw in our Owensboro location because that puts a whole different spin on the other two locations. Owensboro opened inside of a hairstyling salon. There was 6 stylists. Robin Bolin, who is also an artemizer, if I can say that, managed our Owensboro location, and she had some good contacts there. We had an open house and brought in $30,000 in the first week.
$30,000 with what product?
Cryoskin-Only.
Just Cryoskin, 30,000 the first
Mhm.
week.
Yes, and the marketing strategy there was completely different than anything we had done. We actually printed postcards, and she physically walked them around the town, delivered them to every business possible, and then got her 6 stylists in for some treatments and got them talking about her. Advertised obviously on Facebook through her personal Facebook page, and that was the results. There were no influencers, there was no marketing company at that point that had been used.
Wow. Has that trend continued with the same efforts, or how has it been since? Because I think there's a lot of, I made so much the first month. Cool. How's it been since?
So through the COVID shutdown, all of the locations were really steady. Did we continue to make 60 or make $40,000 every 6 weeks or $30,000 every week? No. But it has been a very nice steady stream without having to spend a lot of money or effort in marketing until after COVID. Until after we were shut down for those 6 weeks or however many weeks that was. I think it was 6 for Jasper. I think some of our other locations were different.
So post-COVID, then what? And I'll turn this over to Jody because she's sitting there and she's just got this ocean of ideas to share. I'm going to extract it out of your brain if it kills me. Jody, so
Good luck.
So talk to me about what happened after COVID. What did you guys do to continue or reignite the train and momentum revenue-wise?
I think we just did a lot of social media ads, just posting a lot of photos, before and after photos, get people talking about it again, making sure that we were doing everything that we could, as far as sanitizing and disinfecting and what have you, just to get them to be, comfortable enough to come back in the doors. And so that just, of course, like with anything, people are still walking around with masks, still concerned. So you just gotta, obviously there's a lot of trust in it all. You're dealing with body parts and people are vulnerable. So when you're throwing in health issues and things like that, then you gotta do what you gotta do to get it back in the door. And I think our biggest key is probably social media. That brings a lot of people, brings them in.
What does that look
Jody,
like?
do you remember? Sorry. Jody, do you remember the Facebook page that you had found in Jasper that popped up during COVID? I forget what it was called. Shop local or something.
Oh,
and it was
doing curbside. Yeah. So there is some of our local downtown merchants were doing curbside service. So we were doing a lot of advertising on the curbside service as well. So doing a lot of discounts, a lot of things like that, where we can, advertise on that page.
We actually sold quite a bit of gift certificates during that 6 weeks. If I remember correctly, between our Owensboro and Jasper location, we sold $16,000 worth of gift certificates through that page in Jasper. And then there was one that popped up in Owensboro that was very similar that we found after Jody found this Jasper one.
16,000 in gift cards.
And yes,
what
during
service?
COVID shutdown for Cryoskin.
You sold in what time frame?
Well, I think we were, and I know in Jasper, we were shut down 6 weeks. I think Owensboro was a little bit longer. I think it was more like 8 weeks.
So for both locations, you did 16K?
No, between the two.
Okay. So in a span of 8 weeks for one location, 16 for the other during the lockdown, so 2 and 4 months, you did $16,000 in gift certificates during lockdowns. So evidently people like this device and its outcomes, which is wild and amazing, incredible that you were able to pull that off. Wow. Okay. So let's zoom forward to today. What is now today the biggest problem facing the business that you guys are working on?
I will start by saying that we sold our Bloomington location. It was just too much. As Jody said, there wasn't enough manpower, too much driving back and forth. We sold that location and now only have Owensboro and Jasper. We have started using last year, I think October of 21, we started using a marketing company in Owensboro, and that gave us a nice boost during the end of the year where things kind of slowed down. Things were still going pretty strong in Jasper, and we didn't feel like we needed to do that at that point. And now this year, for this last quarter, we have used a marketing company running Facebook ads for us as well.
Any idea what the ROI looks like on that project?
No. We just started. We just actually finished our first month with them. And we have several, like we have 6 consultations in the next week just in Jasper alone. So there's still some overflow from that first month. And then it's the holidays and people keep pushing their appointment back. Oh, I should wait until after the holidays. So I don't think I can really speak to that until after we get through maybe the 3 months with them, and we'll see how it goes.
Got it. But it is looking promising, which is awesome.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So back to the question here, the biggest problem facing the business today. What is it that you're wrangling that is biggest challenge for the business now? Or are there none? Maybe you guys have it figured out. Everything's perfect. We're making millions.
No.
We're about to franchise
No.
this thing and go global and get acquired and yada yada.
No. I think the next thing that came up is we felt we needed to add some additional services. And Jody did some research, and we did end up adding a sauna red light pod to our Jasper location. And that helps a lot with the lymphatic system, and it pairs very nicely with a client doing cryoskin. And I don't know how Jody found it. She just sent a screenshot to me one day and said, hey, what do you think about this? We were looking at sauna, we were thinking about red light, and she found something that does more than just the two of those things combined, because it also has whole body vibration.
Amazing. Amazing. Jody, any notes on the back of that, on that particular device or otherwise?
I think I was just scrolling. I don't know if it was, I was just doing the internet trolling, I guess. And we've talked about red light therapy for months, and we have a vibration plate where we put our clients on after a slimming treatment. So I just started Googling stuff, and I came across this, and it had everything all balled up in one. It does. The bed in itself is full body vibration. It's got red light therapy, like a kind of think of a tanning bed. So you just kind of lay in it. You pull the lid down on top of you, so you have complete red light therapy. You lay on a pad, you got it from the top end and from behind. It vibrates. So it complements our Cryoskin services completely. So.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. I'm going to change gears here a little bit. I have a few more questions for you, and then we're going to close out today's show. First question is this, and either one of you can answer it. Is there any advice from, quote, gurus? Okay. Now for the viewers, or rather, geez Louise, listeners, I don't see the quotes. I guess I just said quote, but like fake gurus, let's say, business gurus, do this, do that types that are on YouTube or whatever. Is there any advice from those gurus that you think that people should adamantly ignore?
Well, I don't buy into a lot of that, and I don't really have time to listen to it or read about it. So I probably don't even know what the fake gurus are saying. I will speak to fake devices that are out there. There are devices that do 10 things in one device. I would definitely stay away from those. I would definitely make sure I research my company and make sure the company that's distributing the devices is a reputable company and that they are backing good quality devices or products. Not just fall into somebody that has a nice marketing spread or layout or design, or somebody that's a good talker. Do your research. Make sure that the company that you're going with is reputable and they provide good customer service.
Amazing. Noted. 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 Jody, anything else note-wise that you would like to drop in on this particular sheet of music of which Tracy is singing?
Well, my thing is just like how I got involved in this in the first place. I mean, sometimes you just gotta, take a leap of faith and go in and try something. And of course, in return, you may be completely surprised, like I was. As Tracy already said most of the stuff that I was going to say, but you need to go in and you will know immediately when you do a consultation if somebody really cares about you, cares about your results. That will show pretty much within the first 5 minutes of a consultation if they truly believe in the machine. If they believe in the machine, they believe what it actually does for a person. So I think sometimes just going in and just talking to somebody that's going to offer this service and just to get a feel if they're going to even feel comfortable with that person.
Totally. Yeah. Reminds me of a quote. And the quote is this. Are you ready? What's worse, to try and fail or to never live to tell the tale? Take a leap. Name one amazing accomplishment that's ever happened in life that was not the product of some sort of risk having been taken. I can think of 0. Yeah. All right. Let's see. 2 more questions that were out the door. Actually, I lied. There's 3, but they're quickie. The last one's a quickie, rather. Now, I have a suspicion. I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the same question a little bit differently and see if I can yield a different result. So bear with me here. So here's the second to last actual question here before the exit. Is there any unconventional advice that you have listened to that has proven to be astute?
Jody?
Tracy.
I'm just not that person that, I go with my gut every time. I'm not going to let somebody just talk me into something because they're a good talker. And so
Can I
I
make an
really don't have
observation here?
much to say on that. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, this is great. Here is the proof that the world needed that you do not need to be, in fact, you should not be rather, an academic. And here's what I'm getting at. Well, let me finish the first thought. It is not the academics that do, meaning the overconsumers that do of content, information, whatever. It's the doers. Remember what Tracy said at the beginning of the show today. Yeah, I like to live my life in such a way to where I work 28 hours a day. I have no life because my life is my work and that's all I do. And oh, by the way, what do I do? Oh, I don't know. I just take the next step. I'm taking action. In the span of 3 years, Tracy and Jody have gone from counseling kids in the closet of the school. I'm kidding. The office, the front office, the principal's office, whatever it is. Okay. Showing them the way, which by the way, we need that. So thank you for your service in that domain because we need educated students with great counseling because a lot of parents are, well, not great, shall we say. Hopefully when I become one, and I won't be of a variety, but in any case, we need people like what you did, Tracy, back in your time. And Jody, we didn't hear what you did before you joined Tracy, but we can get to that.
She did the most important job of all.
Okay.
What is that, Tracy?
Yeah.
She was a mom. Yay. Got it. Exactly.
Yes.
We need great parents. We need great counselors because that's the next generation. The next generation will be the next generation of politicians and CEOs and yada, yada. Yes, agree. So point being, you both went from being mothers and counselors and the like to now operating 3 successful businesses where in the first 6 weeks of the first location, if memory serves, you did $40,000 in revenue without having ever run a business, unless I missed that part of the story. So 40K. Why? How? Notice Tracy didn't say, yeah, I went through this really comprehensive education where I read the E-Myth Revisited. I read The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I read Scaling Up by, what else his name? Anyway, no, she didn't say any of that. She said, yeah, I just did a thing. I did the thing. And then I did the next thing. And then I did the next thing. So what is the takeaway from my end? Take action. In the words of Derek Sievers, one of the guests that was on Tim Ferriss's podcast episode, I forget, who cares? Look him up on the interwebs if you're curious. But in his book, of which the title I've forgotten as well, oops. But one of his punchlines from the book was, if the answer or the secret was more information, we'd all be billionaires with 6-packs, because it is the differentiator of action that separates wheat from chaff. So that's a compliment in case you missed it to the both of you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I have one final question for you. Both. And you can both answer it, or neither of you. You can plead the fifth and say in Zoom, Siri, or what have you. But here's the final question. Pretend I am I don't know, whoever decides this, the CEO of NBC. And I say, hey, Tracy, Jody, I'm going to give you the Jumbotron at the Super Bowl during halftime to put up a message that the world will see, piece of advice, some sort of quote of inspiration, book recommendation, some sort of insight that you would share with an up-and-coming beauty entrepreneur. And you get to put your message on that Jumbotron for the world to see. And oh, by the way, it's not that serious because it's just a commercial. Okay, so no pressure. What would the message say, if anything? Or what would the book recommendation be? Or what would the piece of insight be?
I will go second.
Oh, yeah, you're
Tracy's message is, I will go second. Okay, that's
I just don't want to speak first because I feel like I have spoke first every time. So
fair enough. Jody,
okay.
Spotlight's on you. What have you got?
What do I got? Are we going to talk about Cryoskin? Or are we just talking about?
Well,
my Jumbotron is going to be of my business, correct?
So this is, again, the setup is the world is filled with beauty entrepreneurs to be. and you get to put a message up for all of them to see. Yeah, that rhymed. That worked out. And it can be any piece of advice, a quote, a book recommendation, advice. What message would you leave the world with?
Well, actually, I don't know.
I think you said it earlier
Which
when
part?
you were talking about being passionate about what you're doing and the client seeing that and hearing that whenever you're doing their consultation.
Yeah, what she said.
In the words of Mike Rowe,
I don't even know what I said a while ago, to be honest with you. I just kind of was spewing it out of my mouth. I don't know.
maybe we'll borrow a quote from Mike Rowe here from Dirty Jobs, which,
Okay.
if anyone remembers, was a very, very extremely cool show where he interviewed and surveyed all these business owners at these like the most disgusting work you can conceive of. Like, I'm a septic tank drainer. Wow, have fun with that. Yeah, I've also worth 20 million. Oh, interesting. But he had a quote that I think Jody's alluding to is, and I think it's this: don't follow your passion. Bring your passion with you. Is that close? Would you subscribe to that?
Yeah, pretty close.
All right, Jody's hitting opt-in. She's hitting opt-in to the Mike Rowe newsletter of quotes. Okay, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Tracy.
I do believe it though. I do believe that you have to be passionate about what you're talking about. Because if you don't, they're not gonna believe you. They're gonna see right through it. So you have to be passionate about what you're trying to sell.
And by the way, if you don't know what you're passionate about, take some time over the holidays to do some introspection. Know thyself. Old Socrates, RIP, 6 million years ago, rotting in Greece somewhere. Thank you, Socrates, for your dialogues. And that quote, know thyself. Yeah, know yourself. Find a way to bring your passion with you. I love that. Okay, beautiful. Tracy Anderson, who is not related to Mr. Anderson from The Matrix, by the way, in case anyone's wondering.
No. and that is my whole belief system, or whatever you want to call it. If you don't love what you're trying to sell, how can you ask someone else to invest in it? If I don't love the product that I am offering to my clients, how can I ask them to invest thousands of dollars into it? I'm a very open, honest person. I'm not going to sell it to someone that it's not meant for, or that it won't work for because of several different reasons behind it. But if you don't love it, how can you ask someone else to invest in it? So you got to love what you do. You can't look at it as, this is my money maker, this is my passion, this is my love, and then I can sell it, because I'm not a salesperson by nature, not at all.
Neither am I.
And I don't know how many clients we've had walk in the door and say, oh my gosh, I can see how much you love this service. Why wouldn't I want to try it? So if you have technicians out there working for you, any business owner that's listening to me that does not get the treatments regularly, does not use them, does not love them, cannot speak passionately about them, you're only hurting yourself.
Yes. I think it was Steve Jobs on hiring, where he said we would not hire anyone that did not light up when they saw a Macintosh. Something about that. Something to that. All right. Well, in closing, we are coming up on the 50-minute mark of today's show, and you both have a, I don't know, multi-million-dollar operation to go run. So I'm going to cut you loose. But before I do that, where can the people in the United States of America, or otherwise across the planet, or the galaxy, how can they connect with you? What's the best way to get in touch?
They can message us on Facebook. We do have an 800 number if you would like that.
What's the Facebook? How do they find you on Facebook?
Just Cryo Body Creation Jasper or Cryo Body Creation Owensboro.
Got it. Love it. Beautiful. Well, hey, thanks for being here, both of you, and stepping away from your busy day. You are both extraordinaires. I've enjoyed my time, and we'll see you in the new year.
And Austin, can I just say one thing in closing?
You shall. You may, if you'd like.
Okay.
You're an adult. Do what you want.
Okay,
Yes,
I would
course,
like.
please. Do as you see fit, please.
Maybe this business was my dream or my passion to start with, but it couldn't be done without Jody. She works tirelessly and endlessly here. We also own another business that we didn't even talk about yet. So, and it couldn't be done with Robin's tirelessly endless hours that she puts in at our Owensboro location also. So I just want to make sure the rest of the world knows that as well.
Jody,
Well, thank you, Tracy.
comment?
I enjoy what I
Awesome.
do. Tracy does most of the hands-on or behind the scenes stuff, and I'm here trying to kind of hold down the fort from this end. So it's a, and I don't want to do what she does. So she does all the behind the scenes stuff. So it takes two people. It has, to make and it's a woman-owned business. So we've been pretty fortunate in running it smooth with some hiccups, but
The hiccups were making fun. And speaking of fun, let's go ahead and put the car in park and land the plane for today, which is a conflation of two metaphors. So, oops, that's okay. We'll let it slide. No one's calling their English teacher on the show. Life will go on. All right. Well, hey, have a happy holidays to you.
you too.
And
You
we
too.
wish you the best. We'll talk soon.